Hello and welcome to Dingoes Ate My Podcast. I'm Paul,
And I'm Dave.
and this week we're discussing the episode Birthday. This episode originally aired January 14th, 2002, attracting approximately 4.3 million viewers. Alrighty, so let us start off with 2002 at the box office. What is the number one film this week, Dave?
2002, around the start of the year.
We missed a massive one, by the way. So the previous week was the last week that Fellowship of the Ring was number one.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense.
But
And
there's
then
a
it didn't stick around?
it did for like 5 weeks, but we missed those 5 weeks because the show was off.
Uh,
So what would have dethroned Fellowship of the Ring?
I would like to say something fairly decent and amazing, but most likely it would be some sort of big popular movie or romance sort of thing at the time,
It's a
maybe.
it's a good movie. I will say that,
Uh,
but probably not. I don't know if you would have seen it because it's not really your jam. I don't think.
I had one particular title in my mind, but I think I'm getting confused with something else. It was the Gladiator, but I think that might have been a couple of years later.
No, Gladiator would have been like 99 or 2000 ish. I
Hmm.
want to say. So it's a little film called Black Hawk Down. I don't know if you're familiar with Black Hawk Down.
No.
No, it's a war movie kind of thing.
That makes sense. Start of the year. I'm not sure if it would be name of the award slips my mind. Contender for that. But yeah, whatever's.
Yeah, it's a very good film, but yeah. Alrighty, let's
Oh,
move on to video games. So
man.
our episode airs on the 14th and we have the 21st. Okay, so on the day this episode aired, if you had a PlayStation 2, you could pick up a little game called ESPN Winter X Games Snowboarding 2002.
You know, the mouthful of a title for a snowboarding game.
Yeah. If that didn't strike your fancy, on the next day, January 15th, you could pick up Mobile Suit Gundam uh, Zeonic Front. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but whatever.
Gundam game. Never hurts.
I mean, I guess. On January 18th on the Game Boy Advance, you could pick up a game called Dark Arena, which I'm not overly familiar with. Oh, it's like an FPS on the Game Boy Advance. That's probably terrible.
That's a little questionable.
Yeah, don't make FPSs for the Game Boy Advance. And
Yeah, that'd be a little tricky.
yeah, there were a few, and none of them were very good. On the 19th, if you had a Game Boy Advance, you could pick up Salt Lake 2002.
Yeah.
A nice little tie in to the um, Winter Olympics.
Um.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a thing that happens.
it certainly is. Now we move on to music. Now, I had been teasing a certain song for, I don't know, probably months at this point, which we will get to momentarily. But before that, what is our number one song this week, David?
And for this week, music wise.
Early 2002.
Again, with what you were mentioning, if it isn't him, who else would be around at the time?
I feel like maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like. Oh, no, I guess not. Never mind. I was going to say it feels like it's late into his relevancy, but then I looked it up and I'm like, nope, I'm wrong.
Hmm. Yeah, nothing immediately coming to mind.
So it is You Got It Bad by Usher.
No, that makes sense. It leaves me very much depressed
Why?
because it is that time of the 2000s where Usher is doing his thing, and then Usher does all the things, and then everyone and their grandma asks Usher to help out with particular things, and you could never escape his influence. You're like, please just stop.
Dave, I'm going to warn you, this is not the year of Usher, it's the year of someone else. Well,
True, but
two
still,
someone
you're
else's.
the start of his influence.
Anyway, Song I've been teasing that I was hoping we were going to get to talk about, but damn scheduling.
Mm,
Dave, do you have any idea what it might be? Because I've given you some hints. It's a Canadian band, hit big in 2002. Have you got any idea who it might be?
well, pretty much the only one real big name that's ringing out in my head is a Monsieur Justin Bieber.
No, this is way too early for Bieber.
Oh, okay.
That's
In
like
that
a
case, I've got nothing.
it's like a at least a decade too early.
Oh, okay.
You have to remember this would have been when we were in like middle school.
Yes. And though the fact that there was a whole bunch of boy bands and the other particular things that were big and preceded my life, that's been thankfully buried in the recesses of my brain. I can hear the songs, but they do not drive me insane
Oh,
anymore.
oh, Dave, I'm about to bring back some trauma for you because the song
Oh,
we
joy.
we didn't get to talk about is "How You Remind Me" by Nickelback.
Oh,
And
yes.
now that song's
Which
gonna
I
be
mostly just know because of the particular jokes and whatnot that everyone makes, which is sadly several years old. Just the case of, ha ha ha, you're a joke now.
and now you're gonna have that song stuck in your head all day.
Surprisingly, no.
What? Oh, damn it! I've had it stuck in
It's
my
kind
head.
of the case of it's there, but pretty much the only one thing that comes to my mind is the joke that people bring up, and it's like, look at this graph.
No,
Look.
that's a different song. That's "Photograph."
But yeah, Nickelback. It was a thing. It existed. I didn't think it was one of those particularly huge things.
Oh, "How You Remind Me" was on the radio all the time.
Yeah.
They had like four songs I want to say that were really big.
Hmm.
I want to say there was "How You Remind Me," "Photograph," "Rockstar," and maybe one other.
Hmm.
But yeah, they were infecting the airwaves for nigh on a decade.
No, understandable. It was that time.
Anyway, let us move on to this episode of Angel.
I- Indeed, we got a birthday to celebrate.
Yeah, it's a hell of a birthday, in fact. Alrighty. So, the Angel Investigations team holds a surprise birthday party for Cordelia. Apparently, it's her 21st birthday, which I have a hard time believing, but okay, whatever. Cordelia experiences a vision so painful that she is rendered unconscious. Fred and Gunn find Cordelia's prescription pain pills and the results of a CAT scan that reveals severe brain damage. Cordelia is dying. When Cordelia wakes, no one can see or hear her, and she concludes that she has been knocked into an astral state. A friendly demon named Skip, the one that used to guard Billy, introduces himself as her guide and says that the visions which Doyle gave her were never intended for a human and that they are killing her. She has two options: go back in time and choose a different path, or return to her body and die when the next vision strikes. Skip tells Cordelia that if she had not reconnected with Angel at a party where she first ran into him, she would have instead become a famous actress, and she can choose to have that life instead. And what happens if he pulls you offside over here? I score a touchdown? He has a little gimmick. Oh, it was so good. Skip brings Cordelia's astral body to witness Angel demanding that the powers that be take back Cordelia's visions to save her life. When she overhears Angel call her weak, she is hurt, leaving before Angel states how terrified he is that she'll die. Skip, you naughty, naughty boy. And decides to go back in time to become a famous actress. She's instantly transported to a luxurious life where she is a celebrity, an Emmy winner, and a star in her own television show with no memories of her former life. However, she is haunted by the name of the Hyperion Hotel and heads over there after the show wraps. She makes her way up to the room she recognizes as Angel's, which triggers her memory of the vision that knocked her unconscious earlier, a young girl in danger. She goes to the girl's house, Cynthia, who confesses that she was trying to use magic. a demon materializes and they try to defend themselves until a one-armed Wesley and Gunn burst in to kill the demon. When Cordelia explains what happens, they take her to see Angel, who, in this timeline, inherited Doyle's visions instead of Cordelia, which appear to have driven Angel insane, mostly because Cordelia was not there to help him. However, depressed and saddened by her friend in such a horrific state, Cordelia takes the visions back, restoring her memories. Skip appears, reminding her of their deal. He argues it is the fate she chose and that it is not easy to shake off. Cordelia disagrees, saying that she is too valuable to the powers. They come to an agreement. Since the visions are going to kill her as a human, Skip turns her into a half-demon, so that she can keep the visions and not die. When Cordelia wakes up, she has another vision, and to everyone's astonishment, she experiences no pain. The demon aspect becomes clear when Angel points out that Cordelia has accidentally begun levitating.
Yeah, there might be some side effects.
Yes, so, what did you think of this episode?
Oh boy. On the one hand, with you teasing this episode from the last week, I was kind of like, oh boy. With the last time that they went to an alternate dimension of how things kind of went, yeah, she died. Like, oh boy, how bad is this going to get? But it actually turned out to be mildly hilarious, and especially with Skip being the guy, him coming in and looking as he does, Cordelia being like, "Well, shoot, death's come to me," and he's like, "Oh, hi, I'm Skip. I'm your guy to help out." It's just, uh, I think one other thing that you didn't bring up was while Skip is sort of explaining things to her that humans can't handle these visions and whatnot, he brings
Oh, yes,
another
Tammy.
person. Yes, Tammy. Is like, yeah, I had the visions for about a year until they blew out the back of my skull.
And then
It's
you get
like,
to see the back of her skull. Yeah, it's good.
mm-hmm,
It's some good makeup.
indeed. Um, but yeah, on the one hand, this was definitely a fun episode with all the particular things it did, though it was pretty much paint by numbers, just with going through all the particular things. Cordelia seeing Angel fighting for trying to save her, but hearing all the stuff that it's like, yeah, I don't really like this. Let's go ahead with the superstardom.
Yeah, I do love that we get those, like, that moment, the little bit of time we get to spend with Cordelia as a star is quite fun. I wish there
Indeed.
was more of that.
Like it could have maybe been split into a two-part sort of episode sort of thing, or that would that be too much?
No, I think you could do a two-parter, like actually show her being like famous and that kind of thing, because I think that's a lot of fun.
Hmm.
But I also understand that like there is arc significance to this episode. Obviously, Cordelia becomes part demon, but
Hmm.
really, there's not a. It's not super important, so you don't necessarily want to stretch it out too far.
Yeah, indeed.
I also love that they brought Skip back because apparently the fans really, really liked Skip at the time, so they're like, well, we'll find a way to put him in again.
There you go. Oh, and it was a while back now, but I believe this was another um showing of Doyle with the film clip and whatnot.
Yes,
His character being brought back.
yes. It's just like archival footage. It's nothing new,
Yeah, yeah, but still, in
but it is.
case it.
Yeah, no, it's very fun to have him back, and even if it's just in some kind of background footage,
Hmm.
he will make. Um, I want to say one or two more appearances.
Okay.
Uh, Let me just check on that. Yes, okay. He will make one other appearance in archive footage and be mentioned a few more times.
No, understandable.
But that won't happen until season 5, so it's a ways off.
Hmm.
Excuse me. Yeah, so this was a fun episode, even though, like, while it does have arc significance, we get basically two major things. Cordelia, as we said, becomes part demon, and we learned that Cordelia learns that her receiving the visions weren't part of the powers that be plan. So,
Oh, yes.
who knows? We also get a reference to the Matrix in this, which is quite fun.
Oh my god, when he brings up the movie references and whatnot, it's like, like The Matrix. You've seen The Matrix? Oh yeah, I love that film.
It's so good. I love that. Oh, it makes me so happy. Anyway,
Hmm.
moving on for this. Okay, so where are we? International titles for this episode. So there's a bunch of them actually this time. Um,
Huh.
a lot of them are either birthday or happy birthday Cordelia. So we're just going to skip those ones.
Yeah.
So in Finnish, it translates as "Congratulations, Cordy."
That works for birthday sort of references and then her being
Oh,
a superstar.
but Dave, I'm sorry, but German wins this one.
Oh.
The agony of choice.
Well, they definitely give her a choice.
I mean, yeah, I quite like that one.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, uh, next week we will be discussing our next episode, which is called Provider. Okay, so Angel is now looking for money to raise, feed, and educate his son, Connor. Angel Investigations begins to advertise. Fred builds the Angel Investigations website, while Gunn distributes flyers all over LA. Angel Investigations now has more cases than they can handle, and 3 of these turn out to be more effort than they expected. Oh, and also some demons want to take Fred's head off because she has a
Because
good
who
brain.
doesn't want to go ahead and injure the newest character to the team?
Well, in all fairness, it's because she has a good brain.
Completely understandable, but still, why is it that they always have to put the new team member in the damsel in distress role?
And we might get a little bit of development between Cordelia and Angel in this episode, but I'm not going to say any more than that.
Duly noted.
So, if you have nothing else to add, I've been Paul.
And I've been Dave.